Bro.
What you got?
Shit, I gotta put my hood on.
Yeah,
Hold on.
Do that. I got my hood on.
I don't... Why? This is a really important class. We couldn't afford to fuck it up, but I really like this camo from AGM.
Oh yeah, dude, that's God's plaid.
Can you see them?
We are gonna jack these dudes up, bro.
They don't even see us right now.
Is he wearing red sunglasses?
He thinks he's like this smart, really good sniper instructor, and he doesn't even see us, bro.
Oh, wait a second. Bloop. I know these two aren't even.
You don't even have your Raptor on, dude.
Fuck. Let me take the fucking things off. Hold on. Give me just a second. Here it comes.
What the fuck do they think they're doing?
I'm good. All right, here's a range.
Let's get a range down.
Right.
Bro, what the fuck? Is that your...
Fuck, man.
Is that your phone? Dude, I'm sorry. What are you doing?
It's my wife.
Oh, fuck, he's on his phone.
They didn't see us, did they?
They probably heard us.
Freeze! Are you two idiots in the middle of the road?
Sir, you said the edge of veg.
That doesn't mean get on the frickin' edge of the road.
Fuck.
Look, Chris, we're not trying to get dirty.
Oh my God.
I don't see what the problem is.
Oh, well, thank you for that.
Did you even take into consideration movement when you were turkey necking trying to find me downrange?
Where's your natural vegetation, idiot?
Well, that's God's plaid. It works everywhere.
Walking around here looking like a fucking Wookiee.
What did you guys take into consideration when choosing the serve site?
We're using a tripod.
How about your contrasted background?
I thought it matched.
How about your shiny sunglasses? Oh. Did you take a phone call while in your serve site?
Dude, I knew he heard it.
Giving away your position using movement.
We couldn't see through the vegetation.
It is pretty thick.
Yeah.
It is pretty thick. Well, in that case, you know what? Just go ahead and do whatever the fuck you want.
Spin the gun. Then this direction. All right. What's up, Outlaws? I came on a very last-minute impromptu trip to Florida to hang out with AGM and
Randy, Director of Marketing, AGM Global Vision. We're a thermal and night vision company out here doing long-range stuff. We invited Trey to come out, tell us what he thinks of what we got to show him. So we're excited.
So we got some exciting stuff coming up. And the instructor today is...
Chris Roberts, CR2 Shooting Solutions.
What does your company do?
Yeah, so primarily we do long-range marksmanship, night vision, and communications courses.
Cool. And so, all right, guys, so we're going to shoot long range. We're going to shoot at night. So this is, I don't know, it's 2 o'clock, almost 3 o'clock right now here in Florida. So we're just kind of getting the guns sighted in, doped in. We're going to do a lot of stuff at night. So be ready, be ready. We're doing long range. And so I have my CGS, SACO, proof research combination, kind of my favorite go-to rifle right now for long range. And I just got a brand new Raptor S from Wilcox. And I got it specifically because some of the guys that I'm working with are shooting it. And one of the things that it requires is the ballistic coefficient of your bullet. And my dumbass forgot to bring my bullets. So I'm shooting, the guys here at AGM were kind enough to give me some Norma match grade. And it's a 175 grain bullet. But I don't know if it's 175 grain Sierra Match King. Typically, I would have thought that it would have been a Match King, but that's like a super weird plating for Match Kings. Like, I've never seen that plating before, so maybe it is and maybe it isn't. I don't know. So what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to figure out, because when you're doing the little details of long-range shooting, one of the things that you have to do is you have to make sure that they're, all of the stuff is in line and perfect, because if you get off just a little bit on the ballistic coefficients, you're gonna have a really hard time hitting it. So one of the things we have to do for the Raptor S is we have to calibrate the compass. So I've got it empty. Everybody here knows I'm doing this. So I've got to turn slowly this direction. Then I have to turn the gun slowly for the longitude and latitude. And then spin the gun. All right. Not to say that everybody's gonna get a Raptor S, but in case you do, there's a lot to it.
All right, so we came up with this target when I used to teach at the Army Sniper course, and what it allows us to do is it allows us to parallel zero the lasers to the optic, okay? The parallel zero is really good because essentially parallel is parallel at 5 yards, it's parallel at 100 yards, it's parallel at 5,000 yards. So rather than have your laser come into alignment with your optic at, like, let's just say 500 yards, and then diverge from where your optic is of course, you pulled a freaking camera out, and I'm gonna fucking lose my damn mind. Okay, so rather than have the laser converge with where your reticle is zeroed at, let's just say 500 yards, what's going to happen at that point is it's going to diverge from that on out. So if we run this laser parallel to the reticle, it's going to always stay parallel to the reticle. So what we'll do is we'll actually get a measurement from the center of the objective up to the laser. We'll mark it on this target here, and then we'll go hang this on the wall, hang it on a tree, post, whatever we need to do. And we'll actually align the reticle up with the marking on the target, okay? Once we've done that, we can go out to distance, kind of confirm that zero actually at distance, just to make sure, because sometimes with these course adjustments, there's a fine adjustment that we'll need to make. And then we can come back to 10 yards, 100 yards, wherever we want to hang this, recheck the markings on here, and now this target is good forever. So if I go out, let's say shoot a competition, I go hunting, I go do whatever I need to do, but I need to confirm to make sure my laser's still zeroed really quickly, I'll just throw this up at 10 yards, check my laser, it's good to go, I'm ready to continue on.
To go back over this is the Raptor S. I should have brought the Mars L, but the Raptor S is a great unit. I got to get used to it before we get the Mars L, so it's really cool that Chris is here to be able to be like, hey man, I've actually done this before, and you don't have to go through all the button pushing, because I've been doing it for like an hour.
So if you look at the front of the Raptor here, you can actually see where the different diodes are for the laser. So we'll just literally measure up from...
Don't stare at the laser, let me turn it off. There you go.
We can literally measure up from the center of the objective. All right, I'll just call it right 4.5, so it's 3 inches up. And then we're gonna go 1.25 over. And so now we can transpose that onto this target here. This will be our aiming mark with our reticle. So how far up did I say we wanted to go?
3?
Yep, 3 inches. So 3 inches up. And then
1.25, right?
Yep, 1.25, and it's to the left, right?
To the, yep.
Okay. Okay, and then I'll just draw this cross here. So that's where we actually want to align our laser. Okay, and as you can see, we've done this a bunch of times on this target with different types of lasers. So we've used this with the Storm. That's what this was originally designed to use it with, was the Storm back at Sniper Course. But we've done it with the Mars Ls, we've done it with the Raptors, and so on and so forth. And that way, if you change the mounts, you change the lasers, you know, the placement of the laser on the rifle, it doesn't really matter. You can just draw a new marking on there.
Where can we get these?
You can't, but maybe at some point in time I will release it. I don't know.
Come on, guys, Twist his arm. He needs to release it for us laser lovers.
I mean, honestly, realistically speaking, I could market something like this, but there's no point in it because you can just do this on a blank piece of paper. Draw your crosshair and then measure up from that and over and draw it for yourself.
He's a horrible marketer. Horrible marketer. Okay, so I got a question. Of all of the lasers, and I know all of them have strengths and weaknesses, do you have right now your top 1 or 2?
All right, so everybody's going to be like, well, he sells the Mars, so of course he likes the Mars. You know, realistically speaking, the Mars and then like the Wilcox MRF or Murph, whatever you want to call it, are pretty neck and neck for specs. Both those are really small lasers. They're really lightweight lasers, and they've got really great V-cell style lasers in them. So they emit a really clean laser, you know, from that diode there. This one's a little bit older here, so it's not. It's an iridium-based laser, so it's not going to be as clean of a beam when it actually emits it from it, but it emits a pretty strong beam. It's obviously a little bit bigger, heavier, and then you obviously have that Vortex, which is just so much cheaper than all the rest. So it really kind of comes down to price point. I know that there's a few more coming to the market. I personally am going to be, you know, a little bit more favorable to like the Mars. I think they're a little bit more available than like any of the Wilcox stuff is these days, and these you can't even, you know, you're going to have to find them used pretty much at this point.
Yeah, so I don't know. It took me almost 8 months to get 2 of the Marses when I ordered them. But just so you guys know the difference in price, I think the Vortex is like $2,000, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is like 12,000. And I don't think you can get this one. It's a full power laser. The Mars is like 10, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Mars is like 10K retail. So there's a huge price gap. I say for the average, like I'm a PRS shooter, NRL hunter, or maybe just a hunter. I think the Vortex is a good option.
Yeah. So I actually, one of the things when we went to SHOT Show this year, we talked to a ton of different laser manufacturers, and there's quite a few things that are coming to market over the next year. And I think that the sweet spot for capability, size, and you know, really kind of performance and price tag is going to be right around the $5,000 to $6,000 price range, and we're going to see a few come to market. I know FN has theirs; they're looking at right around that $6,000 range. Maztec has theirs, and they're going to be right in that probably $6,000 range from what I remember talking to them about. So I think that will be a good selling point for really having good, strong features, capabilities, but also keeping it relatively affordable. The Vortex is a pretty good device. We definitely saw their limitations out at the Mammoth Sniper Challenge this year, though. You throw a little bit of rain, a little bit of fog, or you get a small target with no backdrop, and that's really where these lasers get pushed to their limits.
So again, though, you 100% do not have to have a laser rangefinder. So don't think either one of us are saying you have to have one. Guys, there's a lot of the old school way of, you don't even need a Kestrel. You can go out and get your dope and do it the old school way that has been getting it done for 50, 60 years.
Yeah, absolutely. There we go. Okay, so what I want you to do is put the reticle on that target, and you remember that little kind of hashy looking crosshair down there? Yeah, just get it close, and then you can kind of let go. All right, cool. Well, I'll need you to look through it, but just don't put a lot of influence there. All right, so the crosshairs are on it?
Yeah, crosshairs are on it.
Okay, cool. Let's take the rifle back over there, and we'll try to find a target with very little backer to it.
Holy shit, I can really see it now. That's cool. I can see it at 100, I can see it at 200.
Let me grab my binoculars real quick. So get your rifle nice and stable with that rear bag, and range that plate.
638.
638, so we need to come up, and I think that was this way. All right, try to range it again.
457.
Okay, the wrong way. All right, try it again.
638.
All right, back where we were. I'll go 2 more clicks up. Try it one more time.
913.
Okay, we're right up. Hit it a couple times. Make sure you get that range a couple times.
913.
All right. Okay, so it's 700 yards, so 648 meters. What do you know? You're on it. All right, so let's find another target that's a little farther away to confirm it a little bit farther out. You're right where you need to be on that one. So we're gonna go that big, tall, round berm at the very back. It's the farthest thing out there.
Got it.
The circle plate.
Got it.
And that should be, I think it's 1755. Yep, 1755 yards. So you should be at 1,604 meters.
1,605 meters.
That's perfect. So it's 1,604.77. You got 1,605. Your laser's spot on.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that technique we used, it was perfect. You don't even need to do an adjustment actually when you got up to distance. So that worked out really good. Now, what I would recommend, there's 2 things to knowing how to using these devices here is, in order to stay on parallel like this, whenever you range a target, you got to be on 0. Okay, so if you dial up to shoot a target, you got to come back down to 0 to range your next target. And then, since you support your rifle with your left hand, I would put this button somewhere where you can reach it with your firing hand. So you get stable, you find your target, you build that good position, you break your trigger finger off to wherever you can reach that button. You're gonna press the button, get your range. All right, that way you can dial it up and then make your engagement. That makes
Okay,
sense?
so cord management here, then what would you recommend for cord management? So I want it somewhere here, right?
Yeah, so a lot of guys, what they'll do is they'll just wrap the extra cord around the optic. That way it stays out of the way of the ejection port. It's not wrapped up underneath the hand guard, getting caught on anything. Everything up here around the optic, especially in the front here, it's not going to be in the way. Yep, and then probably adhesing it to using an adhesive to put it on the side of the mag well.
So you know how like when you have barrel harmonics and you touch something to your barrel, the gun will shoot off? If there's anything like problem on the scope wrapping this around there?
Absolutely not.
Right, it's only for the barrel, things touching the barrel?
So the only potential thing that you could run into, which you're not going to run into this with the cord for this laser, is if you actually had pressure, like real pressure on the bell of the scope up here. So we see that when people shoot from positions like a tripod or off a barrier or something like that, and they throw their hand up on the scope, and they actually put a lot of pressure down on the scope to stay stable. That can cause the scope to flex slightly, or even the mount itself to flex slightly. That could be a problem, but when you're talking about wrapping a cord around here for your laser, no, that's not going to be an issue. Yeah, and that's where I typically do it, because that way I can keep my hand right there by the grip. I just reach forward, I press the button, and then I don't even have to break my hand off the gun, because I can just go right back to shooting.
On this portion right here, when you're going to start shooting, does it matter where you're at?
No, because I think the majority of that stuff is just for your IR flood, IR pointer, and stuff like that. So as long as if you're going to shoot, it needs to be in the, I think it's the ballistic mode.
Ballistic?
Yeah,
that's it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the nice thing about this device compared to like the original Mars devices and some of the other devices, is this has an IR flood and an IR pointer. That's partly why it was so big initially. You're seeing that now in some of the other devices where you're getting that, but this has a really nice IR flood and pointer in it too.
So for those that don't know, tell us why you would use an IR flood and pointer military-wise.
Yeah, so really that's going to come down to marking targets. And not so much the shooter's going to mark his own targets and then engage them, because this isn't a point and shoot type of scenario with a long range weapon. But that's when you're using shooter, or you have a shooter spotter. One guy's going to illuminate a target or mark a target so the other guy can engage it. How can we support the gun?
Your rear bag.
Yeah, rear bag, great. Obviously, I'm doing that right here.
Your stance, just the stance you showed us.
Stance, right? Yeah, absolutely. And you see that, like in those Olympic shooters, the way they stand holding the rifle. That's your stance. Sure. What other ways can we support the rifle and create stability?
Tripod.
Tripods.
Tripod, yeah.
Mm-hmm. What else?
Your hand.
Your hands? Yeah, your hand positioning. Sure. Whether it be underneath the buttstock, or on the grip, maybe up here on top of the optic to try to push down on some type of support.
So I've heard people talk about, like, I don't know if it's relevant, just other videos years ago online about like preloading, like pushing it, like getting in on the gun.
Yeah, the amount of pressure you're putting on the gun.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is
yeah,
that
absolutely.
part of it or no?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's a lot of different ways that we can create stability. So there's some ways to think about this. So obviously the most stable position for our firearm is going to be just on the earth, right? Just flat laying on the dirt is going to be the most stable position, because it's obviously the earth doesn't move, right? So if I could get on the ground, that's going to be the best way I can do things. Shoot in the prone, okay? That's the most traditional way to shoot. But we can't always shoot laying on the dirt in the prone, right? So then we go and we try to move up. So when we move up off the ground, one thing that I want you to try to kind of think about is I want to simulate that laying in the prone, shooting on the ground, stability the best way I can. So if we're laying in the prone on the ground, this is what we would probably try to create, is that 3 points of contact. So you got a bipod in the front, or maybe it would be a tripod, but in this case it's a bipod in the front and a rear bag in the back. Okay, so 3 points of contact. So if I had to get up into, let's just say, a seated position, my body might become that rear support, and then I got to look at how am I going to create front support. Okay, so I can use a tripod, I could use longer legs on a bipod, maybe I throw it up on some type of barricade, bench, something along those lines. All right, what's the next position? What do you think the next level of height is going to be?
After sitting?
Yeah, from sitting. Kneeling. Yeah, kneeling, right? So then we move up in the kneeling position. All right, my body's still going to probably be my rear support, or maybe I can incorporate a tripod. I can bring that tripod to the rear and actually bring that tripod close to the buttstock where I can pinch the buttstock against the tripod, okay? Or maybe I have a rucksack with me and I can actually bring the rucksack to the rear and use that to help support the backside of my rifle, okay? So I'm always going to try to simulate to the best of my ability that kind of prone shooting position, because obviously the prone on the ground is my most stable shooting position, okay? So it's all about creating stability, because realistically speaking, and as you guys saw in that demonstration earlier, if my rifle's stable and I remove myself from the equation, it's going to do what it wants to do, right? It's going to hit the target more often than not, because we've eliminated the other factors from the equation, okay? So some other things to think about when we're creating stability is how our body is affecting it. All right, so our bodies are constantly in motion because we're breathing. All right, our hearts are beating inside of our chest. All right, and just naturally, if I hold this rifle up, what's going to happen if I hold it out in front of me?
You're gonna get tired.
Yeah, I'm going to get tired, right?
Get a little shaky.
Yeah, I'm going to get a little shaky. I'm going to start to fatigue. So I want to use muscle support as little as humanly possible, okay? I want to use muscle support as little as humanly possible. If I have to use my body to support a rifle, I want to try to put my bones, my actual like structural support underneath that rifle as much as possible and let my bones support it, okay? By actually like either getting up underneath it and allowing the bone in my forearm to support it, or if I was taking a kneeling position, having my actual knee and forearm support the rifle, okay? What I don't ever want to do is come over here where I'm kind of in a floating position or something like that, okay? You guys probably seen it in the movies, or you've seen it on the range where somebody's chicken winged out and they're shooting, okay? Well, when they're chicken winged out like that, there's no stability underneath their arms, okay? So obviously that's not going to create a lot of stability that way. So bone support over muscle support, 3 points of contact or more if we can, as much as possible, simulating the prone as best as possible, using bags, using barricades, using artificial props to create stability, okay? And then the last thing is what? What do you think the last thing is when we're creating stability?
Just on stability.
Mm-hmm.
Breathing.
No, we're gonna get into breathing a little bit later. Okay.
Consistency with it?
I
No.
was gonna say like trigger, but it's trigger.
So natural point of aim. Have you guys heard of natural point of aim?
Only since you started saying.
Okay. So natural point of aim, obviously that sounds like aim. So wouldn't that fall under another category? And natural point of aim does kind of transcend this functional element and our next functional element. So that's why I kind of would like to address it last. But realistically, it's going to be one of the first things that you're going to do when creating stability, okay? So natural point of aim allows us to build a nice, stable position that's repeatable, okay? And what natural point of aim is your body's natural alignment with the rifle and the rifle's natural alignment to the target, okay? So what you'll see a lot of times with novice shooters is they have the rifle pointing at the target and their body off to the side. Canted off to the side, especially in like those older M16s where they have those fixed butt stocks, and then you see a small framed individual like a woman or something shooting behind it. That butt stock was never meant for a woman to shoot it, because most women are smaller than men, okay? You know, that A2 or whatever style butt stock that came out of the M16, that was meant for like a 6 foot man, okay? So you put somebody who's, you know, 5'8" or shorter, you know, 5'5", 5'3", like most women, and that thing's gonna be way too long. They can't get positioned behind the rifle correctly, so they've got to cant off to the side just so they can see through the sights. All right, well, they're gonna have a terrible natural point of aim, and that rifle's gonna wanna walk away from them while they shoot, okay? So by creating a nice natural point of aim, body in line with the rifle, all right, so really your shoulders are perpendicular to the rifle, all right? And then the rifle is pointed straight to the target. What you do is you create a position that's not only stable, but it allows you to absorb recoil. All right, so when understanding how to use your scope, there's some things you need to understand specifically about the way this thing works and what the different parts of the scope are. So first thing we want to talk about is your ocular focus and your ocular lens. So on the back of the scope here, you have your ocular lens, and this is adjustable. When you see this adjustment here, and what you notice is there's a plus and a minus. So sometimes there's numbers associated with this, and what they're referencing here and what you're adjusting is actually the prescription focus of your eye. So if you're a 20/20 shooter, you probably need this thing to be screwed all the way in. Okay, I wear prescription glasses. These sunglasses are actually prescription. And so typically when I shoot this rifle, I'm gonna have this zeroed all the way in, or screwed all the way in. If you had like less than 20/20 vision, you actually probably need to have this screwed out some. So the way that you would do this to figure out what you need is, and what this is specifically adjusting is adjusting and focusing the reticle to your eye. So you would look at something kind of like at the infinity, or you want to look at something that you can't focus on. So either a white piece of paper, a white wall, or even looking at the sky. So you'll look at something at distance, like I said, the sky, and what you want to do is you want to open and then close, open and then close, open and then close, and then open your eyes and look at that reticle. If it's not immediately in focus, then what that means is your reticle is out of focus, and you would adjust this ocular adjustment slightly. Then repeat that over and over and over again. Now, what's really important is you actually do that at what I recommend is your max magnification. There's a few schools of thought on that, but we like to do that at max magnification because what that does is that adds the most amount of kind of distortion on the reticle. That adds, like, it blows the reticle up as much as possible, and it'll seem the most out of focus. So if you can bring that into focus, then later on when you go down into those lower magnifications, it's going to seem really, really crisp. Okay, so go through that process a couple times on max magnification, and then once you get that thing really nice and crisp and zeroed, then you're set. You can forget it. All right, while we're up on max magnification, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to set our eye relief. Okay, so your eye relief is the distance from the ocular lens to your pupil, or your eye specifically. So that's going to be the most restrictive while you're on max magnification. So typically when we're zeroing our rifles, when we're setting all this stuff up, we do it from the prone position, in that kind of perfect, most stable position. But that's not typically how we shoot our rifles. We're going to shoot them off of barricades, we're going to shoot them, off of hunting blinds, we're going to shoot them off the back of our trucks, whatever it might be. So when we do so, we're going to shoot them on a lot lower magnification. So we put this thing in high mag, we set our length of pull, we set our eye relief, get that scope in the proper location, and then later on when we shoot in lower magnification, we're going to be good to go. All right, so you have your elevation adjustment, you have your windage adjustment. Those are going to be used for zeroing the scopes and then holding for elevation or windage at a later time. On this scope, you have a capped windage adjustment. So once this gun is zeroed, or this rifle is zeroed, we're going to just put this cap back on, and we can forget about it because we're going to hold all of our wind from there. On the left side here, you have a parallax adjustment or a fine focus adjustment. So this is for taking parallax, any parallax that's induced into the system. We can work to get that out, so that way when we're shooting, it looks like our target and our reticle are on the same plane. And then up the front here, you have your objective lens. This has got a 44 millimeter objective lens, and that's about proper for what type of magnification we have on this scope, being a 3.5 to 18.
So I forgot that Chris told me that I had to bring my zero back on these laser rangefinders every time. I legitimately forgot that he said that. And so I was up there and I'm like, I don't understand why I can't, why can't I hit the target? Why can't I see the target? Like, it's not ranging. And then I remembered he said that, and so yeah, 100% when your reticle moves, your rangefinder isn't getting the same view. So you gotta follow the damn rules.